Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today we are looking at our original heroes once again going through the locusts to get to the next sphere of Phyrexia. You see, the loci are things that existed already on Mirrodin, and they were essentially these tunnels, these chutes that led down to the next spheres. Mirrodin used to be a lot less than these spheres. It was basically just the core and then the surface. And then also the mycosynth. So there wasn't a lot of like this layering to it, where they decided to make 9 layers to make it just like Phyrexia.
The core was where Memnarch hung out, right?
Yes, Memnarch loved living in the core where he could actually keep track of everybody, where they were going and everything like that.
I still need a Memnarch for the Mishra Day.
That's a good card. So basically what winds up happening is that they're on their way to the Dross Pits. The basic idea is that they had, in order to get to the Fair Basilica, they had to get to the Dross Pits and then work their way through, and they'll get to a safe spot, and they'll be able to go into the Fair Basilica and easily get to the next area.
The Phyrexia Basilica.
But the problem with this is that the Dross Pits is also where there's a lot of fighting happening. Because there's a Phyrexian civil war going on at the same time. Vraska has teamed up with several of the Steel Thanes to actually create more chaos in the actual battles.
That's how I do it.
Right.
Create chaos.
Yes.
Because I'm red.
Yeah. So basically what's happening is that the Elspeth is basically, they're listening to these elves talk about how basically they should be grateful they're not going into the Tangle, into the green area, because it's such a terrible place to be that nobody should ever have to experience it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like obviously if somebody were to experience the Tangle, they might come out irreparably changed. But you know, that's just a possibility. You could be like the Wanderer who just pops in from place to place.
Yep.
So basically as they go into as they're getting to the Dross Pits, it turns out that the air itself is poisonous. The air itself was poisonous before Phyrexia was completed. Back when it was Mirrodin, those fumes could still turn you into a zombie.
Oh, wonderful.
Now they just turn you into a Phyrexian zombie. So to this point, the Elspeth is like, okay guys, here are these vials of Halo.
Just imagine when they're restructuring Phyrexia, just like, hey, those fumes are deadly. Put oil on them.
Okay. But yeah, so basically what ends up happening is that she takes out the Halo vials and everybody takes a swig so that they can basically be resisted against the Phyrexians. And everybody takes it is like, whoa, that was some good stuff. Except for Jace. Because remember, one of the things that the Halo does is not only does it get rid of Phyrexian influence, it also strengthens your powers and your senses. What is Jace's best sense?
It's not smell, is it?
No, it's hearing thoughts.
Oh.
Yeah. So the thing is, he takes his, and he's immediately hit with like a migraine. He freaks out. And they're like, what is happening? What did you do to him? And he like focuses and is like, Vraska, she's in trouble. I have to go get to her. I have to go now. And so the thing is, he was going to make an illusion so everybody else could go across and get to the next spot. Because there's literally a war happening at the point. So he just bolts. And everybody else bolts with him to try and keep track of what's going on so they can avoid getting, basically...
We should stay together.
Yeah, like this, the buddy system! The buddy system! He's like, my buddy's over there! So they go and they're running towards what looks like a giant arena.
So Vraska came with him?
Vraska was part of the team.
Oh.
But she was missing at the very beginning.
That's right.
And now they're seeing that she is stuck in the Phyrexian arena. And so this is the moment where he gets there first. Everybody else is able to like get there with him. But now we have Vraska surrounded by Phyrexians. She's killed a ton of them, but she's covered in these little cuts. And so I could go into a lot of depth and detail on everything that happens throughout this story, but it's pretty straightforward. Vraska's here. She knows she's going to die and become a Phyrexian. And so she's pleading with Jace, please, leave me. I was always destined to die alone. Like that, I'm a Gorgon. That's what my life has been like. You don't need to be here. You're going to get hurt if you stay here. And Jace is like, look, I can't leave you.
You're my dearest friend.
He actually tells her he loves her. And they knocked out all the Phyrexians, everybody's there. And so Jace says, look, I want to be here with you until the end. And so he's holding her, he's just holding her hands. He's with her. And he creates an illusion around them of the Mount Ravnica. He crafts the perfect day, a day that they had together, a future they could have had together. A world that can never exist now. And so he's there with her, and they just talk, and they just talk about how nice things are. And how there's no way the Phyrexians could ever ruin this moment.
Just imagine the Phyrexians just letting them, just like, wait, no, let them. This is how,
this is important.
How we get to it.
We need this to happen. And so, basically, they're like holding each other together, and Elspeth's like, "Look, we need to go." And Jace is like, "I'm this is where I'm gonna be." But the thing is, Jace has the Silex. Exactly, and he and Kai are the only ones that can use the Silex.
Oh no!
So he's there with Vraska, and they're kind of having their moment. And while that's all taking place, Vraska's just enjoying the moment, and she says,
Elspeth's like, "We need to go." Elspeth, what are you doing in Ravnica?
So listen to this. He says, "No, I'm not going to leave you. I can save your mind, and here at least we can stay together in a place Phyrexia can't touch." And then he looks up and the sky starts to darken. And she says, "Oh, Jace, you always needed to be the hero who finds the answer, but sometimes there isn't one. If you'd just been a little faster." And it says, if Elspeth and Kai hadn't made it down from the surface sooner, if he hadn't chosen to wait for them, if he hadn't allowed Nahiri to bait him into an argument in the Mirren camp, and he goes, "It's not too late." And she says, "But it is. It's in you too. You're already lost." And he's like, "What?" And then when he's in the dross pits, he looks around, and she says, "You're as doomed as I am." He's like, "I took Halo. We have time. We can still save you." And then they kiss. And when she kisses him, he feels in the palm of his right hand an incredibly painful sting, betrayal sting, as a spike has gone straight through his hand, injecting him full of Phyrexian oil. He can feel it pumping into his hand. And she's smiling at him. This is the artwork on Phyrexian Arena.
That's amazing.
It's so messed up. And if you look at the art of Phyrexian Arena, you actually see that not only is she smiling like ridiculously, he's looking at the hand she just stabbed.
It's like, how
like,
dare you?
Was I dumb? Was I the archetype of the dumb blue character? And what's funny is the only monocolor episode we've done in the past was about blue, and how the thing is that blue is always suppressing its emotions until it doesn't, and that's when it makes its worst decisions. Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect example of what we're seeing here. Is that Jace was like, "No, I'm smart. I know what I'm doing." Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. So yeah, basically what ends up happening is Nahiri's super upset, but because of course it's Nahiri, she just like busts into this thing because the Phyrexians started enclosing back and around them. She busts in, she starts just cutting up a bunch of Phyrexians, she grabs Jace, and she pulls him out. And Vraska's just like,
"See you soon."
Yeah, exactly. And so Vraska is completed. She's a full-on Phyrexia now. She's there for the glory of Phyrexia. She's all in. Jace is still freaking out about his hand. And Nahiri is fighting against the Phyrexian contagion. She can feel multiple spikes on the back of her neck now. She knows something's up. And so they get out. But the thing is, they're surrounded by the Phyrexians now. The whole group is here. Because Jace couldn't control his teenage hormones, even though he's like 30 by this point.
I love you.
I love you. I forgot that was a bit. That was Jace's... Oh my gosh.
That was Jace's whole bit.
Jace is always dumb. I love you. Yeah, if you go back to our old Jace videos, some of them a little lower quality than they are now. But yeah, that was kind of Jace's whole thing, was the fact that he would just do the dumbest things for love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially what happens is that they're all trapped. They know there's no way out. Everything is terrible. And Nahiri can feel the whispers of Phyrexia. And so she decides that the best course of action in this moment is to ensure her friends get to the Fair Basilica.
So Nahiri finally does something heroic after the many years we've known her.
Nahiri is basically surrounded by Phyrexians. She looks at all of her friends, and she, because the whole thing has been that she recognizes she's done terrible things. She did what she did to Innistrad. She did what she did to Zendikar.
I was going to say, the chick that almost destroyed a whole plane because she was mad at a vampire guy?
Yeah. Yeah. The vampire daddy issues. Yeah. That was her whole motivation.
Soren also has vampire daddy issues.
It's true. It must run in the family. And so basically what happens is that that Nahiri decides that, I need to do something to help the multiverse. My initial intent was to do that, and all I've done is cause more damage. The whole deal in Zendikar, Nisa wanted to use that the engine for the purpose of restoring Zendikar. I wanted to terraform it and make it into its old glory days for me. On Innistrad, like we said, that was a whole story of vengeance. In War of the Spark, they could have helped fight the Nicol Bolas earlier and saved people. Instead, Nisa and Soren had to have their grudge match. Nahiri and Soren. There's too many ins. I had the same problem with in the first Mirren episode. Naila. Like, there's just too many characters that have that nah sound. Anyways, basically...
Planeswalkers.
So basically what happens is Nahiri is here, and she knows that her friends are going to die if she doesn't do anything. And she also knows that this is her big hero moment.
Maybe I don't want to be the bad guy.
Because again, she is going to become a Phyrexian. She can destroy herself with a super powerful spell and save them. And that's what's really cool, because at this point in the story, if you go back to original Invasion, this is around the time Baron would have used
Nahiri is self-destruct?
So she basically casts Obliterate.
Okay.
And annihilates all the Phyrexians around her and breaks the floor and sends her friends down into the next sphere. And then they look up and it's just a crater. And then Phyrexians start pouring through and climbing along the walls and the ceiling to go invade the Fair Basilica and cause more chaos.
Okay.
But yeah, the main thing is that just like how we had Phyrexian Arena, that mirrors the whole story of how Gerard and Urza, they wound up fighting each other because they were both basically being turned by Phyrexia. So we again have two characters being corrupted by Phyrexia. And we also have the idea of a loved one being used as bait in a Phyrexian Arena. So again, it's kind of like poetry, it rhymes. So we we look at all these characters and the way they're kind of just echoing these things that already happened. And so we get down to the next floor, which is essentially the characters seeing the entirety of everything going on in the Fair Basilica. And there's this whole deal with a door in front of them on the bridge. It's the actual area itself, the entrance to Norn's domain. And this is basically where they're let out. It is worth noting that at this point, Jace has not turned, but that he looks at his hand and he freaks out because he can see bits of metal forming on his flesh.
Oh.
So he's definitely infected, but because he took the halo, he's able to resist it somewhat. So he took the halo, he's able to resist it somewhat, but now we have 3 Phyrexianized Planeswalkers, if you count what happened to Nahiri just now. We have Nahiri, Vraska, and Luca, which means that there's going to be 2 more left to see and how that goes. But yeah, as it is, this is essentially, they're getting to the final moment. This is going to be where things really start to collapse in on themselves. We have 2 more episodes of this main story, and then we have 2 epilogue stories that talk about the aftermath of the events here. So, epilogue. But yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to see more Phyrexians. We're going to see more Phyrexian Planeswalkers. We're going to see Typhar shirtless, and it's going to be great.
I can see that anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and catch you guys next time with some more legendary lore. Leave a like if you like the video, and subscribe, and watch out for that taint.
Of Phyrexia.
No, get that one.
What?